Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's web conference. My name is Devyani Dey and I'll be serving as your moderator today. You'll be hearing a session from Sergey Chubarov. He is a Microsoft certified trainer, public speaker, consultant, Microsoft MVP in Azure, and certified ethical hacker with over 10 years of experience. He is currently based in Russia. He'll be addressing a topic on this very timely subject, AZ-103, implementing Azure storage and data services. Before that, I'm going to put a quick poll, and I would request all of you to kindly participate in the poll and let me know if I'm clearly audible to everyone. I request participants to please let me know if I'm audible so we can move on to the main event of the day. Thank you so much. And furthermore, if you face any audio or a video issue during the session, please feel free to drop in your queries in the Q&A panel and I'm here to answer your questions. Now, I would like to turn today's event to your presenter. Sergey, you can take it from here.
Sure. Let me know when you see my screen.
Sure. Your screen is visible.
Perfect. All right. So let's continue our training course about Azure Administrator. And of course, it's me again. Yesterday, I talked about myself and Devyani present me, but a couple of more words. My name is Sergey. I'm infrastructure team lead in a company that does implementations, and I was trainer, public speaker, and of course certified as Azure administrator and Azure architect and other Azure certifications. I also certified as AWS specialist. So I work with the cloud for a long time, and in this session, and like in the other session, I not only show that course material, but of course I focus on that, but also show you some tips, how can you improve your day-to-day work. All right, so and today and like tomorrow and like yesterday, we have a structure like that. So in part A, we'll talk about certification in general, but today it will be shortly. Sorry. Then we have a technical content part, the main part, and a quick part about practice questions. All right, so let's talk about certifications in general, because maybe some of you didn't attend yesterday. Microsoft Azure certification. So now certifications are different, and we have certification based on job roles. That's important. That it's not only based on product like before, but now on job roles. That's a different perspective on certification from Microsoft. And for certification for Azure, we have a structure, like we have a path and different levels. The first level is introductory level. It's called from the fundamentals, but that's introductory level for everybody. So this exam may be took by just end users, by sales people. So for those who are not really technical, so that's quite simple exam, Azure fundamentals. And it's introductory level in Azure certification in general. The next level is associate. This level is more for IT pros. And this, I would call this introductory level 2, but introductory level for IT pro. And here we have a number of certifications, and one of those is Azure Administrator Associate. And the next level is expert, next and the last at the moment. And here we have more complicated certifications like Azure Solutions Architect or DevOps Engineer. And you can also take transition exam if you took previous exams, but you can do it till the end of this week, so till the end of the Microsoft fiscal year. So if you have previous exams, you can take a transition exam, but only till the end of this year, fiscal year, so till the end of June. What do you need to know to pass AZ900? These skills, we talked about that yesterday. I don't want to say it again in all details. For Azure Administrator, we'll talk about that again. So you just need to take one exam, AZ103, to become Azure Administrator. And let's talk about what's inside of the exam, how it looks like, how this exam looks like. We have questions there, like test questions, and labs. And test questions, they're just like a normal test, but not only with multiple choice questions, but different type of questions like drag and drop or to choose the right order. And we also have labs. And labs, that's a most complicated topic for many specialists because, they're not used to do labs for Microsoft. And Microsoft not used to create labs in the exams. So how it looks like, how these labs are look like. First, when you start your exam, you have a test. So you have a portion, quite big portion of the exam is test, just normal test. And when you do it, when you do a test, in the background, labs start deploying. And while you do a test, labs are deploying. And when you finish your test, you jump to the lab and you do the hands-on, you complete some tasks like, create storage account, configure virtual machine with some networks. So you have to do a lab on a portal. What is challenging about labs? It takes time. So you need to be really careful with time with these exams, because deployment of something takes time. And my suggestion to you: do not wait until the operation finished. I mean, for instance, if you start to deploy something like a virtual machine, don't wait for this virtual machine to complete. Jump to the next task. So do something else while deploying. You'll save some time on that. And be aware, after you complete your lab, you will have a bit more questions, because Microsoft needs to evaluate your lab, and to evaluate, they need some time for that. So they give you more questions after lab. So be aware of that. Plan your time properly for that. All right. And we also have case studies. And by the way, you may have case studies in the end after the lab or in the beginning. Case studies, that's a number of questions that you may find. And these questions are about a particular case. So you have a company, virtual company, with the loan description, and you need to answer a number of questions about this company. My suggestion to you in case studies: don't read the whole case. It takes lots of time. Don't spend this time on reading. Read the question. Read the question first, and you'll find the reference to the part of the section of the case that you need to answer this question. For instance, if you have a question like, please recommend a solution to support plan changes, then just go to the section of plan changes and find information you need. Don't read the whole case. All right, so that's our exam basics. And in our exam, we have a couple of topics that you need to know. And one of those is storage. So we'll talk about storage today. How to prepare really quickly. Don't forget about microlearning. Portal Learn is quite amazing, and you may find lots of micro courses there. What you can also use to preparation is online courses. And now you're doing online course. And we also have, Microsoft also has instructor-led training in classroom, where you can not only try to learn something new, like new topics, but also try to do some labs. It's really important. Some additional resources. And so today we have, as our second day, and we'll talk about Azure Storage. Tomorrow we'll talk about, yesterday we'll talk about Azure Administration Virtual Machines. Tomorrow we'll talk about networking. On Thursday we'll talk about monitoring, and on Friday about identities. My suggestion to you: try everything that I show you, and I won't show you lots of slides. I will try to show you as more as I can live demos. All right, so let's start, and now we'll talk about implementing storage and data services. First, we'll talk about storage accounts, and let's start. What storage account is? Storage account, that's generally speaking, Azure Storage. That's a service that for storing files and other information like messages, tables, and we have different type of data in our storage, Azure Storage. So it may be just virtual machine storage for virtual machines. It may be structured data and unstructured data. Structured data is usually tables, and unstructured data is blobs and just files. And we have number of storage services, such as Azure Blobs, Azure Files, Azure Tables, Azure Queues, and you should know them quite well, especially first two. The second twos, let me just talk about them here. But Azure Blobs and Azure Files, you have to know for your exam quite well. Azure Tables and Azure Queues, you won't find a lot. so we will not cover them in details. Let me just talk about them now. So Azure Tables, that's NoSQL databases, so NoSQL tables. Now this service quite obsolete. Now it's not really recommended. Now it's more recommended. Cosmos DB is much more recommended for NoSQL tables, but still we have Azure Tables, the simple NoSQL table. So that's just NoSQL storage. Azure Queues, that's a bit different. Azure Queues, that's a storage for messages. Why do you need to have messages? Just let me show you really quickly. If I go to my search engine and I'm gonna type Azure Queue, let's see, why do we need to have Azure Queue? So if I zoom in, it says decouple components. What does it mean, decouple components? When we and it's not about administration, but you should know this service quite well for architecture exam or development exam, because Azure Queue, that's the way how can we build the application, decoupled application. Maybe you heard about that in Azure and in the cloud in general. It's really popular architecture to have microservices, not to create a huge monolith app, but to create an app with micro modules. But these modules, they have to communicate each other. But it's not really a good idea to create components that will communicate each other directly, because when one module sends a request to another module, maybe another module not ready to accept this request. And if first, if originator fails, maybe hardware fails or application fail at that time, you may lose your request because originator sent the request, but the second module didn't accept this request, and you may lose some information during this transition if you have a failover this time. What is good about Azure Queue is that one component, first component, just put a message in the queue, and the second component pull this message, this information, while it's ready to pull this information, while it's available for acceptance, to accept this information. So that's all you need to know about Azure Queues for this particular exam, because, as I mentioned before, it's more for architects and developers, not for administrators. But for Azure Blobs and Azure Files, you should know in much more details. So we'll talk about them. Let me jump to demo from here, and let me show you how to create storage accounts and how to work with blob storage and Azure Files. I'm going to go to my Azure portal. As you can remember, we need to use address portal.azure.com. And I'm just type my account. And send notification to my mobile device. And just approve the request. All right, we're in a portal. Let me go to the resource group and create new storage account. Okay, so let me find storage account and click create. So storage account, that's a namespace for my storage services. Let me just go to my configuration. Let me zoom in for you. Let me choose the region like West Europe. Where is that? Here we go. I need to give a name to this account, and this name has to be unique, globally unique. So if I type name something like demo, it says this name is already taken. Try something else. Let's try demo 1. Already taken. Demo 1, 2. Already taken. So my name has to be, the name of this account has to be globally unique. And please use only small digits, don't use capital. Let me just do something like AZ103 demo already taken, and let's type 25. So here we go. So I put a name, unique name, then I choose a location, and performance. I need to choose the performance level. And we have two performance levels, standard and premium. What's the difference between them? Standard, backed by HDD drive, magnetic drive, and the premium backed by SSD drive. And the premium level for storage account, that's a quite new feature, so it has some limitations, and I'll show it to you them quite soon. So let me show you first premium, just to show you some limitations, and then I'll stick on standard. I'm gonna switch to premium, and as you can see here on my premium, it says accounts with selected kind of replication and performance type only support page blobs. And block blobs, append blobs, file shares, tables, queues will not be available. What is page blobs? Let's see. Azure page blobs. Let's see. Review Azure page blobs. Blob. Page blob are made up of pages and designed for frequent random read-write operations. Page blob of validation for IS disks. So that's for virtual machines. And it's, generally speaking, it says if you switch to premium, this type of storage will be suitable only for virtual machines. But if I click here, I can see storage for general purpose, and I can see block blob storage. And if I switch to block blob storage here, I can see another disclaimer. It says account with selected kind of replication and performance only support block blobs and append blobs. So it doesn't support page blobs and file shares and tables and queues anymore. So for premium level at the moment, we cannot have a universal storage account that can store everything you want with the level you need. So let me go back to general purpose, and let me go to standard. But for standard, it's different. You can just choose general purpose, and you'll be fine because you don't need other. You have old general purpose or blob storage. That's the old one, and if you choose it, it will suggest you to use general purpose. So when we use just standard account, an account kind is general purpose. It's all you need. And it can store any type of data. It can store virtual machines. It can store your unstructured data. It can store your structured data for tables. so it can store everything. But when you use premium at this moment for today, you need to choose different kind of storage for different type for different content. If you want to store virtual machine hard disk, called page blobs. And by the way, virtual machines page blob, that's for VHDs. It's not for managed disks, and we'll talk about managed disks a bit today. It's for VHDs when you have a separate VHDs. And if you want to store just files, you should change your account kind to blob storage. Why do you need to know? Why do you need to have premium storage for files? Generally speaking, that's for some blobs that you need to use for analytics. For instance, maybe you need to process a large amount of data, like IOT, and in this case, you should store these files on the fast storage. But for just normal file that you store for the day-to-day work, or for your website, you usually don't need to have premium storage, and standard storage is enough. So I will stay on standard storage, but just remember that in some cases we can use premium storage account. What else? We also have a replication here, and the replication, we have a number of replications. And by the way, when you choose different storage types, you may have different replication options. Let me go back to premium again. And for premium, I don't have any other replication options. And if I go to blob storage, I don't have it either. So just be aware that you may have different replication options for different kind of storage and different performance tiers. Let me talk about all of these replication types. What does it mean replication? Replication means that your storage account will be replicated inside of the data center, or maybe outside of the data center. Let's talk about that. Locally redundant, what does it mean? Locally redundant means that this storage account will be replicated to different hardware inside of the data center. Zone redundant, by the way, if you go to Microsoft website and find this option, storage account replication, Azure storage account replication, and you may find this information here. Yeah, and that's a comparison you may find right on a Microsoft website. Comparison between them, and just please see this table, and if you click on the link, like here, locally redundant, it will describe in details what does it mean locally redundant. And if you jump to, for instance, zone redundant, you will see the difference. So let's talk about that. So locally redundant. Locally redundant means that this storage account will be replicated locally redundant across data center. It will be replicated across the data center. So means is if something goes wrong inside of the data center with the hardware, for instance, maybe the hardware where my storage account stores may fail. So the storage account will work because it was replicated to some other hardware. It's in case of physical failure of the hardware. But what if the whole data center go down? So we have a different type of replication that's more recommended, by the way, called zone redundant. Zone redundant means that this storage account will be replicated across a zone, so to different availability zones. That, generally speaking, that's different data centers inside of the region. So in case of zone redundant, you will be protected in case of data center failure. I think it has to, yeah. What happens when zone became unavailable? And it may be an issue that the whole zone become unavailable. And in this case, you may try to use geo-redundant storage. Geo-redundant, let's jump to geo-redundant. And geo-redundant, that's a replication of a storage account to another region. What does it mean? My region at the moment is West Europe, but I can, in case of geo-redundant, my storage account will be replicated in some other region, like UK styles or North Europe. So it will be replicated to another region. In case of the whole region won't work, my storage accounts still work. So that's 3 options. And the last option, called read access geo-redundant. What's the difference between just geo-redundant and read access geo-redundant? Generally speaking, that your copy that replicated in a data center may be available or not available for reading. So in case of just geo-redundant, your copy will become available only in case of failure, but in case of read-only geo-redundant, then your copy is available for read only, even without failover, case. All right, so that's 4 options. Let me stay on locally redundant for the demo purpose, but the most recommended is zone redundant. And of course, there are different prices for this replication, and the more powerful option you choose, the more you have to pay. And the last here is access tier. Access tier may be hot or cool. What's the difference between hot or cool? Hot tier, that's for frequently used data, and hot tier is more expensive for storing amount of data, but data retrieval is free there. Cool tier is less expensive, so storage in cool tier is less expensive, but data retrieval will cost you money. So it's more for infrequent accessed files. If you just access them not really often, you may start on a cool storage. You'll pay less for the storage, but you will pay in case you need to get an access. All right, I will stay on hot and click next. I have some advanced options here. Secure transfer means that I only transfer data via secure connection, so encrypted connection, and I can allow access from everywhere or only from selected networks, so it's some protection. Then that's a quite new option called blob soft delete. I'll show it you a bit later. That's the way how can we restore data even if we delete it accidentally. And hierarchical namespace, that's for just it's for an analysis of big data that will be stored in data lake. It's completely out of scope of this exam. So let me click next and click create. So let me wait a couple of seconds. Usually it's quite quick to create storage account. So let me go to my resource group. And let me find my storage account. Not yet. Just refresh. Oh, here we go. So let me go to my storage account from here. So we talk about storage accounts here. Let's talk about blob storage. Let's talk about blob storage here. When I open up my storage accounts, oh, by the way, let me show you the last option here. In storage account, we have an explorer to explore its content. So if I click Open Explorer, it says Open in Storage Explorer. So if I click Yes, also I click Yes, I won't go there. I can go to my Storage Explorer just from here and see my containers. I don't have anything here. It's just a new storage account. That's why I don't have anything here. But what can I also do? I can download Storage Explorer locally and access storage account from my app. So to do it, it's quite simple. So if I go to my overview again, click Open and Explore, and it says Download from here. And click here, and it says Download Storage Explorer free, and for different operating systems. Let me show you. So when I open up Storage Explorer, let's wait. And here I need to connect to my storage, and I have a number of options. The first option is to just add my account, like my normal account that I used to log into Azure. It's quite simple option. But other options, they're specific for storage, like use connection string, or use shared access signatures, or use storage account name and key. We will talk about that, all of that. And also use storage emulator. That's for developers, because when they install Visual Studio, they also can install storage emulator. That's for developers. Let me try to use something like, let's play with keys. So if I go to my storage account name and key, click Next. So display name is my AZ demo, and an account name AZ103 demo 25, AZ103 demo 25, and I have to present a key. So I'm gonna go to Access Keys, and I copy this key, paste it here, click Next, and click Connect. And now I connect my storage account. It's empty, so it doesn't contain any information, of course, at the moment, but I connect. So we have a number of options to connect to our storage account. Depends on what we have. All right, so now from here, let me go to blob storage, to the blob storage. And let's talk about blob storage. Blob storage, I would say that's a primary storage in storage accounts, and you should know this storage quite well. With blob storage, it's just a storage for just a blob, just blobs, just unstructured data. And if I want to store something in blob storage, I need to store it in containers. So I first have to create a containers, like a folder on your drive. To write something on your drive, you don't have to. Of course, you can write to the root, but it's more recommended to have a folder. In this case, you need to create a container. You cannot just store anything here. As you can see here, I don't have an option to upload something. I need to first create a container. Let me create a new container. Let's just call it new. And I need to choose access level. So by default it's private, so nobody can have an access except me. I mean, nobody from outside can have access anonymously. So only authenticate user that has account or connection string that I used or keys that I showed you before can have an access. The other option is blob has read access. It means that if somebody has a direct link to my file, this person can have an access to my blob. Or we can have an anonymous access to the whole container. And in this case, anybody who has a direct link to my container can have an anonymous access to my container. Let me just use private and click OK. And here I have my container. Let me go to my container. All right. And here I have upload button. Let me click upload here and open up a file. Let me go to downloads and quickly upload something like Intune app wrapping tool. When I try to upload something, I can just click advanced, and it automatically detects my blob type, but I can change it if I wish. If I think I need to change it. Generally speaking, we don't need to change anything here. So click upload. It was quite quick, and here we go. All right, so that's my blob, and I have it in my storage account. So what can I do with this blob? Before I show you what can I do, let me just click on this link. And show you some information about Azure blobs. No, that's the wrong link, sorry. I need to put it to the, not here, but here. The wrong link, sorry. So let me go back. And let's talk about blobs. So we store some data here, some blob here, and we can play with this blob and access level on a blob level. So if I go to my blob, let me just show you that if I click here, I can change that's access level to my container. And if I just try to go to properties of my blob and copy this link and just go to from another device, it says resource not found, so it doesn't exist because I have a this blob as private, so nobody can have an access anonymously. But if I go to my access level and change it to anonymous for blob and click OK and try to have access to this tool, it doesn't exist. Oh, it starts to download. So it tries to download. So just be aware of that. When you want to change your access level, anybody who has a direct link can have an access to your blob. So it's not really recommended for your blobs to give anonymous access. Of course, you may store some images for your website on this blob, and you may give an anonymous access to them, of course. But if you just store your private data, don't do public access. We have different options to provide access. All right, so that's about access to the whole storage. And let me just go to properties and show you what I have here. So this is a link to my container, to my blob storage, and what you may have on the exam is a question how this blob may look like on the link. I think I need to go to show you not the link to the container, but to link to the blob. Let me just show you blob properties. Copy here. Paste here. So that's a structure URL for our blob. And you may have questions on your exam to choose the correct URL for your blob. And just be aware that this in the first part, and the main part, you have a storage account name dot blob. If it's not blob, if it's a file, you will have file here, or queue or table. Then .core .windows.net. Just remember this type of URL. Then you have a container name, and after that, or maybe other containers, maybe you have a couple of containers, and then blob name. So just be aware of that, about the structure. All right, so when you use your blob, you can not only can download that or open that, you can also to protect your data from accidental deletion or from corruption, you may do snapshots. So if I just create a snapshot, and now I have a snapshot, and if I go to my blob, I can go to snapshots, I can see my snapshots, and I can restore my snapshot if I wish. It's called promote. So if I want to restore my snapshot, I just go to my blob and say promote, and it says it will be overwritten. I say yes, and now I promote my snapshot to my blob. Of course, I didn't have it's this, my blob and my snapshot, they are the same, and they didn't have any difference, but you know, they may be different. So that's snapshot. But what if you didn't do a snapshot and delete your data accidentally? Let me show you. So when I delete, it says, "Do you want to delete your snapshots?" I would say yes, because I want to delete them. But you may not have any snapshots. Click OK, and I delete this blob, and that's it. And that's it. I don't have any this blob, and I cannot restore it anymore. So I don't have snapshots. I don't have this blob on my storage. That's it. And that's a big deal, because there's no option for recovery. And a couple of months ago, Microsoft adds a new option that's called soft delete. I think you will not have this option on the exam. I didn't see this option on the exam. Maybe in a couple of months they will add it to the exam, but not now. Soft delete. That if you enable soft delete, you will have something like a recycle bin for your blob storage. So if I click enable soft delete, click OK, it asks me for how many days I want to retain my data. I'll skip 7 days. Click save, and let's go back to blobs and go to new. I still don't have my blob because that was completely removed. But if I upload the new one or the same one, now do the same. So now I don't want to do any screenshots, snapshots, and just remove it. And it always asks me to delete snapshots. I would say yes. Okay. And let's see. So we don't have a blob, but if I go to here, show the deleted blobs, I can see my blob that was deleted. And if I click here, go to undelete, and now it was promoted again. Let me show you really quickly. So if I change my access level to blob again, click OK, go to my blob properties, copy here, paste here, so I can download that, close that. Let me delete it, this blob. So let's delete it. And let's see, I have this blob only in deleted. Let me try to access this blob. So no way. So blob not found. I can't access this blob when it's in the deleted state, but I can restore it. So if I undelete this blob, now I can try to have an access. Now it works. All right. So that's about blobs. That's about blobs. So let me get rid of that. Click OK. It goes to deletion state, and I can do nothing with that. I can just wait for 7 days, and it will be removed automatically. All right, so that's about blobs. Let's jump to files, and then we'll talk about storage security, because you saw some access policies here. We'll talk about them in the security section. So let's jump to files. What file is? Generally speaking, files is just SMB share. So if I click add share, let me call it share. I don't want to apply any quotas. Click create, and just the SMB share that's available from the outside, from everywhere. Why do you need to have SMB share? Of course, you can store files there, but it's not really recommended because file share, they're quite expensive. It's better to use blobs for that. Why do you need to have a share? Generally, we use share for our servers to share some configuration data. For instance, if you have 5 web servers and they need to have the same content, you may just put this content on the share and connect to this share to 5 your web servers. So generally, this, of course, you can use it as a file share, but that doesn't have much meaning. If you need to store your personal files, use OneDrive. If OneDrive for business, OneDrive. If you need to store corporate data, you may use blobs. I mean corporate data, like unstructured data. Just use blobs, but don't use share for that. It's quite expensive. Share is more to store configuration for your servers. All right, so I have a share here. Let me go to my share. I can add some directories here, upload new files. Let me just upload a new file. And I upload my file, and now it has the different link. Let me show it to you here. As you can see, now we have a bit different link. Now in address we have a file, not blob. And here it's not a container, that's a file, that's the shared name. All right, so let's try to connect to this share. Now, first of all, let me just try to have an access. And I don't have an access. I don't have an access here. Let's see. If I go there, where's it? Where's access configuration? Let's see. Properties. No configuration. So to have an access to the share, we need to connect the share to my server or to my desktop. Let me click connect. And it gives me a script to connect the share as a Z drive. Let me copy that. And let me show it to you how it looks like. So first of all, it will add my credentials to my workstation, and then it use netuse, the netuse command to map my drive. Let me use the CMD key. All right, successfully. Let's check. If I go to control panel, credential manager, Windows credentials, and yeah, I have them here. So that's my credentials. And now I don't want to use netuse because sometimes it doesn't work properly and that doesn't show me in my Explorer, my drive. I just will use my Explorer map network drive, Z drive, and let me find my address. Here we go. Finish. Now that's the work. Hopefully. It is. So, and now I have a Z drive and my file share here. And now I can have an access. Now I can have an access. So I remove that. And let's see what we have on the portal. Just refresh and nothing there. So that's SMB share. And once again, of course you may use it for stored files, but it's generally not really good idea. It's more for storing configuration for your servers. So that's about file share, Azure files. So let's talk about security from here. Storage security. Let me go back. We don't need to do anything with files, but with blobs, but not in blobs and with files, we have different options to have an access to my storage account. And let me go to access key first. And the access key, that's the way how can I connect to my storage account. As you saw before, let me see my containers now. Where's refresh? Hey. I used to have I think I deleted my container. So now I can access to a share. I see a share on my Storage Explorer. So the way how can you connect your storage account? Number of ways how can you connect to your storage account. First of all, because of storage account name and access keys. So this key, but that's fine for me if I'm an owner. But you don't want to give these keys to anybody else. That's not a really good idea to give these keys to anybody else, because everybody who has a key can generally do everything with the storage account. So I want to have some different options. Let me try to connect to my storage using connection string. So I'm going to connection string and display name az connection con string go string. Let me copy this connection string, paste here, click next, and click connect. And in the same manner, I connect with connection string. So you can connect with a storage account name and the key, or connection string. So you have a number of connection strings that already can contain the name. So and the key. Generally, if I see my connection string just a name and key inside. So here's the name, and here's the key. But I don't want to provide these options, this information to anybody else. That's fine for me, but not for anybody else. But what if I want to store some information on my blog they want to share with somebody? For that, I can configure my shared access signature. And give access to anybody else based on what type of access I want to give and for how long. Let's see. So first, I want to choose for what service I want to give an access to. Then on which level, what resource type, on the service, container, object, and what permissions I want to give. Read, write, delete, list, add, create, update, process. And for how long? So when will it be expired? And I can also filter by IP addresses. So let me click generate SIS, and let's see. Now I'll have connection string. Let me copy this connection. No, not connection string. Let me copy SIS token. And if I need to give developer some token to access data, I can just give this token, and let's see what it has inside. The first SV is just the version, so storage version. I don't care about that from the storage perspective, from security perspective. Then SS attribute. SS means to which service I'm giving an access to. So let's see. If I scroll up, I have blob file Q table. Let's see. B like blob, F like files, Q as Q, and T as table. So it's this type of service they want to give an access. As RT, that's the type of service, type of resource they want to give an access. As means service, C means container, O means object. Then SP, that's my permissions. Read, write, delete, list. A was A. A is add. Then create, update, and process. So as E, where is it? As E, that's a expiration date and time, and as T, that's a start date and time, and that's the protocol and signature. So that's how can you read this signature, and you can understand from the signature what type of access do you have. All right. That's about SAS, and that's on a storage account level. But if we go to blob, in blobs, we can have access policy, and they look similar. If I add a policy, it has also permissions and also has some start time and expiration time. I would say that's a more granular configuration. It doesn't work without SAS policies. So first you have to create a SAS policy for your storage account, and then you can, as a second layer, you can create an access policy for your blobs. So access policy, so you can configure access policy in addition to your SAS on your storage account level. All right, so that's about storage security. And the last option that I want to discuss with you here in this storage accounts is about encryption. Storage account. Scroll down. Encryption. Storage accounts are encrypted by default. So they're encrypted with SSE, or Storage Service Encryption. And you cannot disable that. That's enabled by default. You cannot disable that. So storage account, they're encrypted by default. Just be aware of that, and you may have some questions about that. But what can you do? You can bring your own key. So effectively just click use your own key. I may choose my key vault, and the key vault is a bit out of scope of this exam, but you may find key vault. You'll find a lot of key vault in AZ 500 exam. Let me just choose my key vault, and I don't have a key here. I need to create a key first, but don't have permissions for that. But anyway, so you can use your own key to encrypt your storage, but you cannot disable encryption at all. All right, that's about storage security. Let me just check the box here, and now we go to content delivery network. But I want to give a word to Divyani. She has some questions for you, so please feel free and please answer her question. Divyani, your turn.
Sure. Thank you so much, Sergey. While our presenter takes a quick break, I would like to ask how has been the audio-video experience so far in the session? The question and the options will appear on your screens now. Thank you so much for your feedback, and there will be a couple of more questions towards the end of the session for a feedback of how the session has gone through. I would request all the participants to please participate in those questions as well and share your maximum feedback with us. Your feedbacks are under consideration when we plan for our upcoming sessions. So your active participation will be very much appreciated.
So you're done?
Yes, I am done. You're back.
Perfect. All right. So let's we talk about storage accounts and storage, but today in our online session, we don't talk only about storage accounts, but some other storage options that may be quite helpful, and you will have questions about them. So the next topic is about CDN, or Content Delivery Network. Here I need to show you some slides. First, CDN. What CDN is? CDN, that's the global network to distribute, to cache your content. And if you have some servers all around the world, you may have CDN that will cache content of the servers to make them work faster from different regions. So that's the purpose of CDN. For instance, you may have your app somewhere in America, but your users from Australia will have bad experience with this app because of the latency. But if you enable CDN, then first Australian users will have an access and it will be quite slow, but the second one will get the content, cached content, from CDN, not from the American website, from American server, and the latency will be less. All right. How CDN works? So first, user requests a file, Edge server requests a file from the region. Edge means that CDN, our CDN. So Edge server requests file from the region. Our region returns the file to the Edge, and Edge cache this file. And then next time, for another user, it will request this file from cache. To work with CDN, first we need to create a profile, CDN profile, and then we need to create endpoint. So let me go there and create this stuff. I think I don't have any CDNs here. Let's see. I think I don't. Nope, I don't. All right. Let me add new CDN. Click create. First, I need to create a profile. Let me call it, as usual, AZ103 demo. And here, I need to choose my pricing tiers, and I need to choose who will be the provider for my caching, who will cache my content, and I have a number of options: standard Microsoft, standard Verizon, standard AKMI, and premium Verizon. For standard option, for standard providers, I will have less options than compared to premium Verizon. Let me choose premium. I won't show you all the options, but I will just show you that we have more options, and just click create. And at the same time, let me create a new storage account. Storage account somewhere in Australia. Let me just see Azure speed.com. Let me uncheck all here. And I think Australia is the slowest for me. Let me try South Africa. And let's try Australia East and Australia Southeast. All right, so Australia Southeast is the slowest for me. So let me keep Australia Southeast. Let me create a storage account. And here, I will call it AZ103 AU. Australia Southeast, and I'll keep it in default. Okay. All right. So let's see what we have. Let me zoom out. All right, everything is here. ACDN is here. Where's my storage account? AZ. Where's the storage account? It's in the process of creation, or where is that? It's weird. Oh, I had to create a storage account. Created a new one again. I don't know what's going on. Storage account. Create. I'm fine here. AZ103 AU. Southeast. Everything's fine here. Tags. Click create. I believe I pushed the button. Anyway, so I want to create a storage account in Australia. It will be quite slow for me, and I want to see how long it will take to retrieve the data without caching and with caching. Let's see. So let me go to my storage account. I'll go to my blobs, create a container, call it new. Let's give them public access. Click OK. And let's try to upload some content, some blob here. And let me upload the huge file. And it has to be not so fast. Yeah, it's Australia. I thought it would be faster. Let me try another one. And usually it's quite faster for my local data center, but yeah. While it's uploading, let me just open up PowerShell. Just let me show you. So if I go to measure command, URL, and this I need address to my blob. Copy that, and let's see. Not curl. It has to work. Let's see. It looks like that. Come on. Just show us the time. I think it has to reach around 25 megabytes. So let's wait and see the time for how long it will be retrieved. Oh, by the way, in parallel, let me just show you. So if I use some different storage accounts. Let me just go to these storage accounts. My blobs, container new. Let me upload the same file here. Upload. Let me change access level to blob. And let's see. So if it took 163 milliseconds, 46 seconds and 163 milliseconds to get this blob from Australia, from Australian data center. Let's try to do the same from European. Let's see the difference. That's a way better. Or no? I think it's better. But it looks like that. I think we should land on small files because big files are retrieved a long time anyway. But it's still better. So, a couple of seconds and it has to finish. Here we go. Not really big difference. 41 second and 46 second. Interesting. Because maybe because of the file, maybe you should play with other files. But anyway, let's try to play with CDNs and see what difference we may have. Okay, so let's try to create the CDN. We create the CDN profile, and now let's create an endpoint for this file. Let me create a new endpoint. Let me call it AZ103 CDN demo. CDN is enough. And our region type. No, CDN, don't want to have CDN. Demo. Demo is fine. Our region type will be storage, and our region host name is my Australian. Our region path is do I want to any specific use any specific directories? I can do it. I have new, or I can just leave it default. So click add, and let's create an endpoint. And so we successfully created a CDN endpoint. It says it can take up to 30 minutes to start working. Let's just play with that. Maybe we'll see some difference. Maybe. So that's my CDN. And I jump to my storage account from my CDN. Let me just copy my URL. And let's try to do the same. But now I will paste an address of my CDN. Oops, nope, origins. What's going on? Okay, so oh yeah, I don't need to use this address, CDN address. So that's my origins. I can configure some compression here. Compression here. I can manage my compression on different portal. I will show it a bit later because it's a separate portal for Verizon. Let me try to retrieve the data and see what's the difference. Let's try to retrieve it from Australia again. Once again, it may not work because, as the staff mentioned before, it needs up to 30 seconds to cache. But let's see. Maybe we'll be lucky. So let's wait for data retrieval with CDN. What's the matter with you? Oh yeah, start to move. It continues to move. So let's see. It has to finish now. And it was 1 minute, 3 seconds, and 951 millisecond. Let's try again. Maybe we'll be lucky. Looks like not. It looks like it retrieves the data from the storage. But let's see. What's the difference? Well, that's faster. And here you go, only 40 seconds. I want to believe that it's because of CDN. Just play with that because you need time to cache this stuff. Now in online session we don't have this time, but you may play with that yourself. So that's CDNs for caching, and you may cache globally. It's a global service, and you may cache your data globally. And as you can remember, I chose the Verizon Premium. Let me show you what it was. So if I go to advanced features, I can see number of features that are available only for Verizon Premium, that's advanced features. And one of those features that are really important is token authentication. What if you don't want to give access to anybody to your blob, and you want to manage authentication via CDN? You can do it on a CDN level. So that's a token, and in this case, you may have an access to your blob only via CDN, and don't have an access to your content from blob directly, and not given access to a blob directly. And then CDN will manage authentication for you, and you also can have real-time analytics about your caching and lots of new stuff. Let me just click manage here. Just English here. So that's a portal, and to be honest, that's a portal of Verizon. It has to be. I think so. That's a Verizon. And here we have number of configurations. That's quite a lot, and of course you won't see it on the exam, but just for your understanding. And if you depends on your provider that you choose for your CDN profile, you may have different set of features. And if you choose Verizon Premium, then you'll have this portal with a lot of configurations and analytics. You don't need to know it for the exam, but just be aware of this in general. All right, so that's about CDNs, and let's move on. We have 3 more features: file sync, import-export service, and data blocks. Let's talk about them. File sync. File sync, that's a feature of Azure that allows you to synchronize your files from one server from number of servers to your Azure files storage. How can you use this feature? For archiving, for backup, and also for your apps that use file storage, and you can just synchronize your app data to your Azure files with this feature, Azure File Sync. But to be honest, this feature is quite tricky, not tricky to configure, but multi-step. So it's quite it's not hard. It's quite long to configure that feature. And let me just show you the order. To configure this feature, you should go to Microsoft official website, Azure File Sync. You'll find deploy Azure File Sync here. And here, you'll find the guidance how to do that. And for each step, you'll have a version portal and PowerShell. PowerShell is more simple. I mean, you just fire up script, but on portal, you will know what you do. Because on script, you may not understand what you do. Just launch a script and that's it. So try both. Try do it from the portal as well, because if you just use PowerShell and you don't analyze script, then you will not just know what you do. And let's try to do it step by step. I think we have steps here on next step. Yeah, we have steps here, but let's do step by step and this guidance. So first of all, you have to have a supported server. You have to have supported server, and you have to deploy Azure File Sync in your in the region that has this feature available. So on the Azure side, you need Azure File Sync service and and Azure File Share that we created before in Azure Files. So that's all you need on the Azure side. But on your client side, you need to have a lot. First of all, you need to have support version of Windows Server. Let's see. What version do we need to have? So, oh, here we go. So Windows Server 2012 R2, 12 R2, 16 or 19. So it's a support version. And number of features configure them there, like .NET Framework and so on. So please read this article. So first, what you need to do, you have to prepare your Windows Server to use Azure File Sync. You You just need to install all your prerequisites and just turn off enhanced security. And then we need to deploy storage sync service. Let me go to my portal and show you that. So I'm going to my resource group. I think I already have this service. Let's see. Yeah, I already have storage sync service, but let me show you how to do it from scratch. So you can just click add, type storage sync service, and nothing here. So it has a bit different name. It's called Azure. No, not Sentinel. Azure File Sync. Azure File Sync. So you find Azure File Sync and click Create. And just fill some simple information about your resource group, name, and region. So nothing special. So you create your Azure File Sync, and then you'll have this service storage sync created. So that's the first step, just to create your storage sync service. You can do it from PowerShell here, or you can do it from the portal. Let's move on. Then you need to install file sync agent. You may do it in a different way. You may create how it's called, sync group first, or you install agent. Any order is correct. So here you need to install Azure File Sync Agent to your Windows server. Let me just jump to my Windows server and show you. So I need to have a special Windows server for that. So click Connect. Click Download, Open, and just let me connect to my Windows server when I have my agent installed. Nope, correct. Now it works. So you just need to go to Microsoft Download Center. Just download this agent. Show that. Just download and install this agent. Nothing special. Just one file for each type of operating system. So just download and install. Nothing special here. You can do it manually. Okay, you can do it via PowerShell if you wish, and PowerShell will check what version do you have and download the version you need. Then you need to register your server in your storage sync service. Need to register. To do that, you may do it from your agent. So let me show you. I already have an agent, a storage sync agent. And if I want to register my server, there are a number of options. The first option, do it from GUI. Just go to Program Files, Azure Storage Sync Agent, and go to Server Registration. Hey, go there. C drive, Program Files, Azure Storage Sync Agent, and let me find my server registration. Yeah, here we go. So I just launched my server registration. Come on. It may not work because my server is already registered, but then it just, oh, no, it works. It works, just slowly. It's already registered, but so I don't need to provide any additional information, but when you do it the first time, you need to give some information about your Azure Subscription Resource Group and Storage Sync Service. Or you can do it with PowerShell. And from PowerShell, it's more simpler. But to do it from PowerShell, you need to do previous steps with PowerShell 2, because as you can see, it uses storage sync variable, and you have to fill this variable, set this variable before. So to use this PowerShell script, you need to create everything else, like installation of agent and deployment of storage service with PowerShell 2. So I register my server in my service. So now I connect my server that I have to my cloud service. Let's see. So if I go to my cloud service, storage sync, and if I go to my registered servers, I can see this that VS AWS server is registered. Next step, we need to create a group and cloud endpoint for synchronization. So I just need to go to my service and create a new sync group. Just give a name, and here I need to select storage account to a storage account to sync my files. So I'm gonna choose this account, and I need to give a share name, and I give a name. Let's go with new group and click create. So that's it for here. So I create a storage group, and the last step, I need to create a server endpoint. So server endpoint, that's the path on the local server that will be synchronized to the cloud. So let's see. As usual, we can do it from the portal or from the PowerShell. Let's go to my portal. So I'm going to my new group, and I add my server endpoint. I choose my registered server, and I need to specify a path. Let's see what path do I have to synchronize. It has to be sync share. So let's copy that, paste here. Do I want to have tiering or offline data transfer? I would say no, and click OK. And that's it. So I'm enabling the synchronization. Oh no. I believe it's because I already have this server synchronized to, and this endpoint synchronized to the other group. So let's see. I have SN group here, and I synchronize this share. Yeah, sync share synchronize. Let's see. If I go to my file share, I think I used this file share. this storage account. I've got the files. Yeah, that's my share. And here I have file to sync. Let's see. Yeah, I have file to sync here. Let me create a new file and call it. Just keep the default name. Let me just add something to this file. Now let's see what I have here. And refresh. Nope. Oh, I have it here. So now I have it here. So it works. Azure File Sync works. So that's Azure File Sync. Please do it yourself because it's quite hard to memorize the order when you don't do it yourself. Please do it yourself and do it a couple of times and try to do it from the portal and from PowerShell because it's not it's quite simple, but it has multi steps, and to remember them all of them you need to do it a couple of times. All right, so that's about Azure File Sync. Let's go to the next service called Import and Export Service. Import Export Service. So Import Export Service. That's
Hi, Sergey.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. Your screen share has stopped working.
For how long?
Just about 10-15 seconds.
Okay. Now it works.
It's back again. Thank you.
All right, thanks. So, import, export, and export service. That's the service with this that can help you to move your data from your on-premise, or large number of data, from your on-premise infrastructure to the cloud, to Azure. What if you need to move terabytes of data? That's quite hard to move to copy this number of data via internet. So we have some ways how can we move this data offline, and this service called import and export service. In this case, you just need to ship your drives with your data to Azure, to Microsoft, and they will upload it for you. But you need to do some extra steps, some preparation steps to identify the data for Microsoft. And to do this preparation step, you need to download WA Import Export tool. And with this tool, you need to prepare your drives to move data. So let me just jump to my demo, and I believe I have it configured on my server. Yeah, I have it. So WA import tool v1. By the way, we have two versions of this tool, WA import export tool. Version number 1, it's suitable to manage your files to blob. But if you want to move it to your file share, then you should use the version number 2. It's a bit confusing now, but we have two versions. I want to move to the blob, so that's why I use version number 1. So what I need to have, I need to have a drive that has a SATA or SSD interface, and you need to prepare this drive with this tool. So I'm going to command line, CMD. Let me go to the C drive and to this tool. And I need to prepare my drive for this tool. To use with this tool. This tool doesn't have any interface, so if I just type exe, it doesn't have any interface, but it has lots of attributes. It has some examples here, but I think the best way to start to use with this to try this tool is to find Azure import export first use. I think you have to. No. I think it has to be here. Prerequisites installing, and this is the output. Preparing hardware for import job. So download install tool. So that's the flow that you should follow to prepare your drive if you wish. Of course, in here we don't want to ship anything to Microsoft, so that's why our demo will be a bit different. But in the real world, you should create your CSV files with all of your drives, with all your folders that you want to copy. And with this tool, you will copy the information from your infrastructure to this drive. That's a lot of work. And here's the first session. Here's the first session that you should use. You might also try it just for your demo purposes. And as an output, you will get your files on your drive, and you will get a journal, JRN journal file. So you need this journal file to upload to Azure. I think I have the journal file. Let's see. Yeah, journal.grn. That was the output of my command prompt. So let me copy this journal to my workstation. Close that. Close that. Let me copy it here. And then I'm going to my portal and type import export jobs. Create a new job. Let's say I want to import. It will be AZ103 demo as usual. And resource group. This resource group. So in the job details, I need to upload this journal file. So let me just go to my desktop. Where's my desktop? I don't see my desktop here. Let's try to move it to another folder just for simplicity. Let me just move it to downloads. Journal, and as you can see here, it says I see one drive, a drive with ID. Let me just zoom in. With this ID, and configure storage account that you want to move data. Let me choose this storage account, and that's it for that. So I upload my journal file, and I choose my storage account as a destination. Click OK. And then I need to fill my ship information. So that's a non-technical part. So I need to choose my current name, my account number, and so on, and so on. And that's it. Then I need to ship my drives, and Microsoft will know, because of this identifier of this drive, where to upload my data. All right, so that's import export information. It's not a really hard topic, but the trickiest part is this application that doesn't have any interface and has number of attributes. So please play with this tool because you may have questions about syntax. All right, so that's about import and export. We have one more topic, and we're perfectly on time today. So let's talk about the last one, data box, and then we'll talk about preparation, about questions, practice questions. All right. So, oh, by the way, I forget about that. When we talk about import and export, don't forget about AZ copy. AZ copy, that's a great tool that can copy content from your infrastructure to Azure. For instance, you may copy some information from your infrastructure to Azure storage account, and in this case, you just say copy this portion of information to the storage account. Of course, it will do it via internet. So if it's a large amount, it's better to use offline. But what is really good about AZ copy, if you need to copy information from one storage account to another storage account, you may use AZ copy, and Microsoft will copy this information for you. So you don't need to download content from one storage account to your server first and then upload it to another storage account. You just use AZ copy. Just use AZ copy, and you'll just say so copy from this source to this destination, and Microsoft handle this for you. You don't need to use your internet connection to move files between storage accounts. So that's quite handy. All right, so that's about AZ copy. And the last topic called Azure Data Box. That's I would call it similar service to import and export, but in this case, you don't need to use your own drives. You don't need to do any operations to enumerate your drives. You just need to get a data box from Microsoft. So let's see. Data box, that storage that you may get from Microsoft, upload your data to the storage and send it back to Microsoft. And in this case, you don't need to present your drives. You don't need to use any tools to enumerate these drives. You just use this data box from Microsoft. So that's a storage from Microsoft that they send to you. You upload your data, send it back to Microsoft. So you just take storage from Microsoft. You don't use your storage. You don't need to send your drives to Microsoft. You take their drives and upload your data to drives and send it back. And we have number of data boxes. I think do we have it here? Yeah, we do. We do. So, in what cases we can use these data boxes? Generally speaking, that's for one-time migration when we need to migrate a large amount of data. When we can also use it when we need to incrementally upload large portion of data. For instance, maybe you need to upload a large amount of data in addition to existing data that you already have in your Azure, but this amount of data is quite large. And you may use DataBox to do that. So the criteria is the amount of data. We usually use some offline upload when we have large amount of data. And for offline upload, we have three type of data box. First type is data box disk. That's a small amount of data. That's only 8, comparatively small, of course, 8 terabytes of data, and it's just a disk that you may use to upload your data and send it back to Microsoft. Um, Data box, not disk, data box. That's that's a box with number of disks inside. And this capacity is 100 terabytes, and you just need to just connect this appliance and upload your data to this appliance and send it back. But if you need more than 100 terabytes, you may use data box heavy. So heavy, that's a box with large number of disks. Um, and you can upload up to 1 petabyte of data. So that service are offline. Let me show you how can I find this service in my portal. If I type, I don't need it anymore, I think. If I type data box here, data box, let me choose data box. Okay, so create a data box. And here, first I need to choose what operation I want to make. And the operation, of course, is import to Azure because I don't have this data box to export at the moment. Then I choose my region and the destination region. Let me choose my region as Australia, and the destination region will be West Europe. And click apply. And it says sorry, it's not available. So we cannot upload data from Australia to West Europe. So we cannot just take data box and ship it to Netherlands. But if you wish to do that, you can just send your own disks. But this option is not available for this combination. Let me try to do something else. Let me choose from Australia to Canada. Apply. And the same result. Now let me choose Bulgaria. And now it works. So now I can choose from I can try to use my Turkish data box to upload data from Bulgaria to West Europe. But of course, if I try to upload from Bulgaria to let's try West US, and doesn't work again. All right, let me choose West Europe again. And let's choose data box, click select. So order name AZ103 demo as usual, and the resource group AZ103. Click next. So what do I want to? What will be data destination? It will be storage account or some disk or managed disks. Let me choose just storage account, and I need to choose my storage account as usual. Click next, and then contact information and shipping address. That's it. Then I have to wait for my data box, upload data to my data box, and send it back. Okay, so that's about my offline migration with Databox. But we, oh, by the way, about security. So that's about speed and time. We use USB 3.0 to connect our data box disk, but for data box and for data box heavy, we use network interface, and they have different speed. Data box has 1 or 10 gigs, and data box heavy, has 40 gigs interface. From security standpoint, the data is encrypted, so you cannot just if somebody gets this data, they cannot just open this data. So everything is encrypted there, and if somebody in transit will try to connect to your connect to your data box to disk and get your data, they cannot do that. Only Microsoft can do that because they have an order on the portal on your portal, and the device itself is quite protected physically. So that was an offline migration. But we also have data box for online migration. Online, it's called data box gateway and data box edge. To data box gateway, and data box edge, that's a way to move your data to your storage account online, and you may need it when you need to pre-process your data before move it data to the cloud. Of course, you can use just AZ copy to copy your data from your environment to the cloud, but what if you need to pre-process your data, to analyze this data, to use machine learning against this data before you need to put this data to your storage account? So you have your data on premises, but you want to process this data and put this data to storage account in Azure. For that, you may use data box edge or data box gateway. The difference between them, that data box edge, that's the device, physical device, and data box gateway, that's a virtual appliance. So you use virtual appliance or you use physical device to pre-process your data, and then this data may go to Azure account. All right, so it depends on your if it's a virtual device or it's a physical device. You need to provision that and connect your this device or this appliance to the cloud, and then this device may put information to your storage account, but first it may process this data. So that's about data box. Let's talk about practice questions. Then I will wrap up the session and I will see if you have any questions. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them on a Q&A. All right, let's see practice questions. Practice question number 1. You need to put steps in a correct order when you want to deploy Azure File Sync. As I mentioned before, we have number of steps, and you should do it yourself to memorize the steps quite well. So let's see steps. So what do we have? We have preparation of Windows Server, deployment of storage sync service, register Windows Server, and install file sync agent. It's not correct order. Let's see the correct order. So first, you should deploy storage sync service, or you may prepare Windows Server. Not really matters here, but the official orders to deploy storage sync servers. Then prepare Windows Server, install agent on the file sync agent, and then register Windows Server. So you cannot register server before you install the agent, or you cannot register server before you deploy storage sync service. All right, let's move on. Question number 2. Your coworker asks you to disable storage service encryption for blob with development for blob storage with development tools. What section in Azure portal you have to open to achieve that? The first option, encryption section of storage account, data and storage account of Azure Security Center, SSE or storage service encryption can be disabled, or shared access signature section of storage account. And of course, SSE can be disabled. You can only change the key to your own key, but you can disable SSE. Question number 3. Your company has 80 terabytes of data that must be moved to Azure, but internet connectivity is too slow and busy. What tool fits best to achieve that? First one, AC copy. Second one, a data box disk. Third one, data box, and the last one, data box edge. That's the offline migration. So internet connectivity is too busy, so it's offline migration. And this amount is too large for so for offline we have only 2 options: data box disk and data box. But this amount is too large for data box disk, so that's a data box. Question number 4. You're deploying standalone app in Azure VM. Policy requires to encrypt all app-related data with BitLocker. How can you achieve that? And we didn't have this topic in our session, but maybe you know it. So we can enable BitLocker and store keys in on-premises AD. So option number 2, enable Azure disk encryption during deployment. Option number 3, do not do anything. It's encrypted by default, so all disks in Azure are encrypted by default. And option number 4, enable BitLocker and store keys in Azure AD. So let's think about that. App is standalone, so it's not in AD. So it's not a good option to store keys in Active Directory or Azure AD. So we have only 2 options left: enable Azure disk encryption and do not do anything. Hard drives that you create in Azure, they're not encrypted. So storage account itself is encrypted, but not hard drives. So the answer is Azure disk encryption. And generally speaking, Azure disk encryption, that's encryption by BitLocker, but your key will be stored in Key Vault, not in AD. But you should be aware that you cannot find at the moment Azure disk encryption on a portal. You can only encrypt your disk when you create your VM from a template. You cannot do it from the portal. All right, then question number 5. You create a new storage account named Cantosa7890 and upload number of blobs. What is the correct path to blob file 1.jpg in container images? So you have to choose the correct path. So look at that. And let's see the answer. And the answer is number 1. Just remember this correct path. It's a blob. So first is your account storage account name, then blob.core.windows.net, then / your container, and then your blob name. All right, so that's our questions, our practice questions. And for next steps, please do it yourself. Everything that I showed you, do it yourself. This exam is about implementation, so you should know how to do that, and you should remember the steps how to do that. So please be aware of that. Be aware how to do that, and of course use additional resource like microlearning, like Microsoft Learn, to fill some gaps. All right, let me stop to share my screen. We have 15 minutes more, by the way. Let me see if we have any questions. We don't. So I give a word to Divyani, and she has some question for you, and we'll. So let me wrap up first, and then I will give a word to Divyani. So today we talk about storage, and storage it's quite a big topic of the exam. So please be aware of these topics. And we cover storage accounts, blob storage, Azure files, about tables and queues. You won't have them in the exam, but just be aware what is that. We talk about storage security, and you should know some ways how can you provide access to your storage account, and remember about SSE, storage encryption. Then we talk about content CDN, content delivered network, Azure File Sync. Azure File Sync is comparatively new service, and we have a couple of questions about this service in exam. Because from the one usually when Microsoft has new service, they after a couple of months they add the service to the exam and have some question about the service. They want to be aware. They want to be sure that you're aware of this new service. We talk about import and export service. Of course, I cannot show to you how to ship, but it's not the technical part. But I showed you the technical part. And DataBox. DataBox is an appliance that you can use, hardware appliance you can use to send your data to Microsoft. It's an import and export service, but you don't use your own drives. You use Microsoft drives for that. And once again, as I mentioned before, please do it yourself. Please try it. Please try it yourself. All right. I hope it was informative for you, and I give a word to Divyani to finish the session, and I hope to see you tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Sergey. And before we proceed to the closing, I would like to ask a couple of questions from the audience. I would request all of you to kindly participate and share your feedback. The question will appear on your screen now. Next question will appear on your screen now. Please provide us with your feedback. I request all the participants to kindly share their feedback. And the last question will appear on your screens now. I request all the participants to please share their feedback through the poll questions. Please let us know if the session has helped you to gain knowledge in the topic. So with this, we have come to an end of our session today. I would like to thank our presenter, Sergey, for addressing today's topic in such an interesting way and engaging the audience to stay connected with us throughout the session. I would also like to thank our participants for their active participation throughout the session. I hope you enjoyed watching the whole session and more importantly have gained insight to Microsoft Azure certification. We'll see you again tomorrow in our third session, which is virtual networking and inter-site connectivity. Till then, you all have a wonderful day ahead and thank you so much for being with us today. Bye-bye.